Hello, welcome to the Medusa Yarn and Fiber YouTube channel. My name is Nikki and I'm your host. Today's video is all about knitting. I have 2 finished objects, 2 works in progress, and a haul from SAFF 2021. So it's been a while. So grab a beverage, relax, and enjoy the video.
Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine.
Well, let me tell you, it has been a while since I've done a knitting video. If for those of you who don't know me, I am Nikki. I am the owner and dyer of Medusa Yarn and Fiber, and I am primarily a knitter and a yarn dyer or fabric dyer, fiber dyer of all sorts, but I do all the crafts. So this YouTube channel is very gradually morphing into more than just knitting. So if you're a knitter, I'm glad you're here. I've got 2 works in progress that I've began and started and finished entirely since my last video about knitting, which was back in October. So I'm wearing the first of the 2, and this is the Turtle Dove Pullover. I'll put in some pictures. The Turtle Dove Pullover by Espace Tricot, a free design by Espace Tricot. And this was a really nice, fun knit. It's a great little fall, winter pullover, but it's got the Dolan sleeves, so it's kind of drapey. And I love it. I've been eyeing it up to knit it for a long time. And then back in, I think it was November, I was out in Maryville and at the Hook and Needle, which is a yarn store out there, and spotted this yarn. And I could not take my eyes off of it. It is Malabrigo, the heavy, super bulky, or bulky maybe. I'll put all of the information about the yarn and the pattern in the description box below. And it was in the Archangel colorway. So lots of purples, kind of pinky, yellowy, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. So I bought all the skeins that I needed. I think there was 5 that I needed to make the Turtle Dove Pullover. Aran weight or bulky? Again, I'll put the information below. So it was a very, very quick knit. I had it done before Christmas, and I've worn it quite a bit throughout the winter, but I'm going to take it off now because it's the end of May and it's too hot. So beautiful, beautiful, fun pullover to wear in the fall and winter. I love a good free pattern, don't you? All right, so my second finished object was my New Year's cast on. I cast it on New Year's Day and finished it about, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I'll have to check. But it's my Anthe Shawl by Natasha Hornby of Moonstruck Knits. Now, I think this pattern is a work of art. It is so stunningly beautiful. And this piece is absolutely the one that my most commented on piece by strangers. So when I wear it out, which I don't really do anymore because it's the end of May and it's way too hot, people comment on it all the time. And then when I tell them I knitted it and dyed the yarn for it, they're just absolutely shocked. People don't realize just how easy knitting is. You're just tying together yarn with sticks. Anyway, so most of this I knitted during my daughter's gymnastics meets and practices. And people would always stop and ask about it when I was knitting it. Little kids would stop and ask about it. Adults would stop, and even little boys would come over and want to see what I was doing. So I'm just absolutely in love with it, completely out of my comfort zone or color palette for knitting. Normally I like to knit with pinks and purples and grays and blues. So to go with something so very different in terms of color was very unusual for me. And I'll talk about the yarn in just a second. But I absolutely love it. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of styled the linen sort of chiffon dress today so it would look extra special on me. Okay, so the yarn is my own hand-dyed yarn, Medusa yarn and fiber, in the Trojan's base, which is 80-20, so 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I chose this one because I think the nylon adds that extra bit of structure to the yarn, which is really nice for mosaic knitting. And she, Natasha Hornby, most of her, from what I can see from her Ravelry store, is that most of what she designs is designed for more rustic wools. And so when it comes to hand-dyed merino, it can be a little too soft sometimes for a nice structured pattern. So I thought having the nylon in there would add to it in terms of structure. Now the green and the black are as yet unnamed colors because I had just sort of come up with them while playing around with some new dyes, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna repeat the green. I mean the black, of course, but I wasn't sure if I was going to repeat the green, so I had the skeins in my stash. And then the gold is my Midas colorway, which I repeat all the time. And I put the three together, and that was it. It was amazing. So if you love this and you want to do one just like it, it's a beast, but I loved knitting it. I had no problems as long as I paid special attention to the mosaic charts. But if you want, I am offering kits, dyed to order. And so if you hop on over to medusayarnandfiber.com, or sorry, medusayarn.com, you can order yours, and I will get them dyed up and shipped out fairly quickly. I love it. So happy with it. Now, I haven't blocked it yet, but I will block it because even though I've been wearing it unblocked, it has a picot bind off. And even though it doesn't really need to be blocked, I think the blocking will showcase it even better. And that picot bind off needs to be shown off. And you really do need to block out a picot bind off in order for it to be noticeable. But I think I'll do that sometime this summer since I can't really be wearing it anymore anyway. Oh, I love it. Okay, so those are my two finished objects. Uh-oh, I got hooked on my bracelet. There we go. Those are my two finished objects. Couldn't be happier, especially with the shawl. All right, so I have been doing a little bit of knitting. One of my works in progress is a little bit older, and the other one is new. Okay, so I'll first of all show you my older work in progress, and that is the Shawlography Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. Now, I started it last October, I think it was, and I was pretty lukewarm about whether or not I liked it. And so in November, when I started my Turtle Dove, I set aside the Shawlography and let it kind of languish for a little bit. And then as the pictures started to come out of all the finishes, because of it being a mystery knit along, I started to like it again. And I really liked what other people were doing, and so I decided to pick it up again after, actually it wasn't until after the Anthe Shawl was done. So I only picked this up recently and started knitting on it again. And I'm liking it again. So that's good, because I know now in my mind what the finished object will look like, and I'm gonna like it, and I'll wear it. It's not just an exercise in art and fun adventures. So I think the last time I showed it, I had finished maybe up to the welts. I don't know if I showed you guys the baubles and the big wedges of the green and gray. I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and look. But in the last few weeks, I've done the brioche part, the gray and blue. And I don't have much further to go. It's kind of nearing its end. There's two options for finishing, and I'll probably do the larger option because I have so much yarn. So I am a huge Stephen West fan. I came around to liking him quite late, and I really, really enjoy knitting his patterns. The key is to be able, if you're not interested in something so colorful and sort of artsy, the key is being able to revision it in colors you would like and you would wear. And that's a big issue for me for a lot of Stephen West patterns, but they're so fun. You'll never get bored knitting a Stephen West pattern, that's for sure. The yarn is the dream yarn. It's my Muses base, which is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So it's my signature base, and it's the only yarn that I dye in solid colors only, for the most part, maybe a little bit of variegation. And it is just like buttered kittens, it really is. And these I just dyed up. I happen to have a bunch of grays. I had the blue Anzul, and I dyed up the pop of green just on a whim to go with this particular project. So it takes 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And you don't use up all the yarn, so you'll have lots of leftovers for scrappy projects. But it can be, kind of intimidating to know that you're going to be needing 5 different skeins. But being a yarn dyer means that I could just stash dive. Well, I guess we can all stash dive anytime. So these are that's the yarn I used. So it's quite luxurious yarn, and it's a bit of a precious project. So I will wear it. But like I said, I'm coming around to liking it. Before I thought it looked a little circusy, a little cartoony, but I'm really starting to love it. So that's good. After all that work and all that humming and hawing, I can say with all honesty, I'm not just saying it, that I really like it. It's so funny. I spend a lot of time at Loopville, my local yarn store. And one of my other works in progress that I'm not going to show right now, because there's not much different on it, is the Half and Half Triangle Shawl by Pearl Soho. And that thing eats yarn like you wouldn't believe. I think it takes 6 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And I was complaining to Jinka about it, like, oh my gosh, I like the knit, and I'm knitting it with Rowan felted tweed, so I was buying more from her. And I was complaining about how much yarn this thing eats up, but everybody says they love it. And she laughed and said, that's just often what we tell ourselves to justify all the time and money that we've spent. Which she could be right, but hey, let me live in with my delusions, okay? I need my delusions. Okay, so my next work in progress is a new one that I started on local yarn store day, which was on April 30th, I believe. And I had a trunk show at Loopville. So I was at the store most of the day, peddling my wares. And the beautiful Rick Rack shawl, which was a free pattern for that day, for the local yarn store day, by Casapinka Knits, and I'll put the picture up here. And so I started that particular project. I absolutely loved it. I haven't gotten very far in it yet, but I'm really enjoying it. That's my progress so far. It's got this really interesting texture. It's a very interesting pattern. I quite like it. So there's what I've got so far, and it does kind of feel like that old-fashioned sort of vintagey rickrack feel. And the yarn I'm using is, you guessed it, Medusa yarn and fiber, on my Sirens base, which is 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. And it's a single ply. So I really, really am enjoying this for a shawl. And so there they are kitted, balled up. This is the peony colorway, and this is the hyacinth colorway. And they go together quite nicely. This one has mauves and aquas in it, and this has pinks and blues, kind of like a purpley blue. And I'll show you what they look like in skein form. Oops, everything's falling off me here. There you go. So I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's pretty true to color right there. So they go together quite nicely. And I do have some sets left over if you want to hop on over to medusayarn.com, and I have them available. And of course, when you buy them as a set, you save a little bit of money. I love working with silk. Not everybody enjoys a good single ply yarn, but I do, and I'll knit anything in a single ply yarn, including sweaters, but I particularly like it for shawls. All right, so those are my two works in progress that I'm going to show you. I think the dog just ran up and hit herself against the door. So now I'm going to show you some haul that I got, and most of it is quite old already. It's from SAFF, Southeastern Animal Fiber Festival, that is held every October in Asheville, North Carolina, which isn't very far from here. And I have not vended there for a couple of years since COVID, but I think I'm going to try to get on the wait list to go this year. I think it's time to get back into the Fiber Festival circuit. I love selling my yarn at fiber festivals. The people there are always so fun. I always have a great time, but it's so much work. Setting up, taking down. My husband works weekends, so it's very difficult with the kids. So anyways, I'm going to see how long the wait list is for vendors, and I think I might get on the wait list because I really miss that sort of sense of community. So what did I get when I went there last October? Well, for those of you who have been viewers for a while and you saw, I vlogged it, and I had brought my daughter with me. And so I was very focused on her and making sure she had a great time because she was only 5 at the time. She's since turned 6. And, you know, making sure that they don't turn into cranky, whining children is always very important. So we just had a great day. She was pretty disappointed though because there was no Angora rabbits. All the sheep that she got to see that I showed in the video, she absolutely loved, but she was counting on seeing some Angora rabbits. And I think she was kind of hoping we'd buy one. We weren't going to, but she was hoping. So she was very disappointed about that, but we had a great time. So let me show you. I didn't buy a whole lot. Considering I was at a fiber festival, I also was kind of more focused on just getting fiber rather than yarn. So I don't have a whole lot, which is fine because it's been, what, November, December, January, March, April, May, June. 8 months, almost, well, 7 months, since we're at the beginning of June tomorrow. Okay, so let's start with the one skein of yarn I bought, and it was from Gems Luxe Fibers. And the reason why I bought some yarn from them is because they also have the Greek mythology aesthetic that I do with Medusa. So this is yarn from Vicksburg, MS, as I'm guessing that's Missouri. Aren't I terrible? Mississippi. I don't know my abbreviated states. I have a good reason though. I'm not from here. I'm Canadian. Missouri? Somebody correct me? And this is the Muscadine Coine colorway. So a beautiful cream on top going down to a beautiful Merlot-y burgundy at the bottom. This is their Titan sock, which is 100% superwash merino. I have a Titan's base as well. Mine is the 75-25, but I don't dye it up a whole lot anymore. I like to focus on the more wool or some sort of animal fiber and the less nylon, the happier I end up being. But this will be great for maybe a pair of socks or put it into a shawl. Isn't that pretty? I can't believe it's been so long. So this is the only skein of yarn I bought at a fiber festival. Shocking. I bought a little basket for a small project. This is hand woven by in Ghana, and it doesn't say the name of the woman who wove it. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they'll include the name of the woman who did it. But isn't that pretty? So I like these baskets. The large ones sell out so quickly, and they're quite pricey, but they're worth it because they're handmade. But I really like this one. So my daughter and I picked it out. I let her kind of pick it out, and I told her it was hers, but she's kind of forgotten about it, so I've kind of stolen it back. Nothing like stealing from your daughter. The spinning fiber I got 2 braids. One was from Wild Hair, hand-dyed yarns and fibers. Sorry, no rabbits. Funny. And this is Falklands wool, and the colorway is Grateful Dyed. That's kind of funny. And I liked it because it had the Pride vibe, which is Pride month is tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So maybe I'll spin this up in June. And that makes sense. That like I bought it because I like the gradient Pride feel to it. And I thought, geez, this is pretty. I kind of thought that maybe it got felted a little bit in the dye process, but knowing now that it's Falklands wool, I didn't even look when I bought it. That's how much I like the color. It's a very rustic. So maybe I'll spin this up in June. Oh, it's pretty.
Are you still taking the video?
Yes. See? Can you leave me alone for 5 more minutes? I'm almost there.
I want to stay in here.
Okay, but you have to be quiet. All right, we've got company. My daughter's in. She'll ignore me for hours on end, but the minute I start doing a video, she's got to be here. All right, so another one I got, which when I saw it, my jaw hit the ground. Look at that beautiful kind of Halloween-y colors. This is called the Stained Glass Merino, which is 80-20 merino nylon, and it's a 23 micron merino, and Firestar nylon, and it's called Neon Mermaid. Glows under black light. I didn't even know that. Isn't that gorgeous? So I guess the company is Stained Glass Merino. No, I'm sorry. I bought it from the SpottedCircus.com. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know when I'll spin it up or what I'll use the yarn for. But man, oh man, it's just a jaw dropper. Love it. Hello, darling. Now, the other spinning fiber I got was some pencil roving. And I got 2. Look like big eyes. I don't remember who it's from, and there's no tags. So what I'm going to have to do, I remember who
it's from.
Who? You know what you need to go and do is go and get me that yellow silk kerchief that I bought.
I don't know where that is.
It's in my underwear drawer.
Why is it in your underwear drawer?
Can you go get it for me, please? I almost forgot about that. So I remember where the booth was because it was a pretty small SAFF because, COVID. And they, so I'll look and I'll link it below. I don't know why it's not tagged or anything. So I don't know. I'll spin these and then I'll probably ply them. It's Shetland wool, I believe. And yeah, so I loved it. Very, very, very pretty, very soft. Sorry, my daughter coming into the room really threw me off. A few other just little haul things I've bought over the last few months when I've popped in and out of yarn stores. I bought this at Hook and Needle, the Mindful Collection knit blockers.
And you have your drawers.
Okay, I'll find it myself, thank you. Always need good blocking combs. And I bought this at the Hook and Needle as well, a project bag, knit and purl with kitty cats. Always need a nice canvas bag for our projects. I am going to go and see if I can find one more thing. Come with me, darling. Hand-dyed silk that I bought from Maria of Ninja Chickens, and you'll have to excuse me. I wear this all the time, and because I hadn't, sorry, the dog is, I hadn't thought to prepare this. It's kind of wrinkly, but I wear it all the time as a neck kerchief. It gives me sort of a Parisian vibe. And when I wear it with my blue dress, all of my students tell me I look like a flight attendant. But anyways, I love it. It's eco-dyed, hand-dyed silk by Maria of Ninja Chickens, and it was a real pleasure meeting her. And Mars of Hey Brownberry was in her booth with her because they're very good friends. And so I was able to meet both of them. I follow them on Instagram. I watch their YouTube videos. I really, really love the vibe those ladies give off. They just seem like they know who they are. They've got such a strong sense of self. I love it. Love them. They were very nice. And I kept seeing Mars again and again over by the sheep, and she was really nice to my daughter, and just really nice ladies. So I wear this all the time. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I think I'm going to let you go. Clearly, I'm not going to get any peace and quiet. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Find me on social media at Medusa Yarn and Fiber. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. All the links are below. Thank you for tuning in. And happy June. Take care.